concept. So I would like to welcome everyone in the room again, our fellows from this year, and I would welcome in particular our mostly coordinators of schools on internet governance. I know that we have a lot more that agreed, but possibly they are a little bit late, but that doesn't matter, and that's totally fine. As I said already, it's kind of a replacement for a anniversary party that we would like to have done, and we were thinking what could we do, and we thought connecting with all the schools that emerged in 15 years around the world would be a good opportunity. And you know, Wolfgang always says it's good to know about the history. So I think we should also remember how the schools on internet governance were invented, how they emerged. And Wolfgang, no one is in a better situation or knows more how this idea came up than you. And so I would like to ask you to give us just a brief summary about how this all happened and how we ended up here with the first school. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Indeed, the history of the schools on internet governance goes back to the WSIS times, when between WSIS 1 and WSIS 2, the working group on internet governance was tasked to produce a definition of internet governance, and the working group included some academic people, and these academic people were approached by government people, business people, with the question where I can study internet governance. And the answer was nowhere, because universities are organized around disciplines. You have faculty for computer science or social science, you have law schools, business schools, but internet is a little bit from everything. It's law, it's business, it's computer science, it's political science. And so the conclusion was, among parts of the academic community, we have to develop something new. And when we had a workshop after the Tunis agenda in connection with the annual World Conference of the International Communication Association, ICA, and UNESCO and the IMCR, which is the International Association for Media and Communication Research, in a small village outside of Dresden, because the World Conference took place in Dresden. So we had a 3-day meeting, and we discussed what the role of the academic community could be in implementing the Tunis agenda. And so, and 2 proposals came out from this. One was, we need a platform for researchers, and this became GigaNet, a rather successful platform, which meets every year on the eve of an IGF. And the second proposal was, we need a curriculum for internet governance, but to have a world school on internet governance, this would have been too big. So we concluded it's better to have regional schools. So, and this was 2006. And then I proposed to make the pilot project for a summer school in Germany, in Meißen. So I found a venue, and we started in 2007 with the first, which was called at this time, the European Summer School on Internet Governance. And this was a good success. And then we discovered, and Olga was there, that we have 2 summers on the globe, one in the north, one in the south. And then said, you know, if we have this pilot project, let's copy it in the south. And this started, and then Olga started with the help of many other people, including Hartmut was also a father of the Hartmut Glaser of this for many, many years. The South School on Internet Governance. And this also became a success story. You know, it was different from the Meißen School, because the idea was, you know, the concept we have proposed with the Meißen School is like open source, that everybody can use it, but has to adjust it to the local circumstances. And so with this philosophy, you know, we did see the emergence of a number of other regional or national summer schools. Henriette organized the first one in Africa, back to an ICANN meeting in Durban. When Egypt hosted the IGF in Sharm el-Sheikh, Tarek Kamel was ready to sponsor the first Middle East school on internet governance. And then we had followers in Asia. And a number of national came up. And so we discussed then in 2011, 12, you know, whether it would be good to have a network, a coordination or something like that. And we ended up with the idea to establish under the IGF umbrella, a dynamic coalition, which is now headed Avri overtaken some of the coordination work. Avri was a member of the faculty for nearly all summer schools. And I think this is where we're here now, 15 years after the first thing. Avri will take the floor and a little bit later. And all this happened only with the support of the community, because as our Meissen school has no institutional support, also we have no public funding, so it's based on, let's say, crowdfunding. From the very early summer school in 2007, we asked the community to make a small contribution, and a lot of money produces enough money so that you can organize such an event. It has worked for 15 years, thanks to all the registrars, registries, and other organizations who think education is a good thing. We support this, and we are very
Marco.
at the support. Okay, so and I think one of the biggest supporter from the very early idea was DENIC, the German registry, because we did this in Germany. I approached Sabine Dolderer at this time, and she said, education is good. And we have now today Peter Koch here from DENIC, and he will add also some words for this celebration.
Thank you, Wolfgang, for the kind introduction, the kind words about our early contributions. We were really happy to have the opportunity to be a first day sponsor, so to speak, to get this rolling and to help set the foundations, what we today see being a growing and a flourishing and a very vivid community of summer schools. Wolfgang mentioned the GigaNet as one output of WSIS, summer schools, maybe indirectly as one of the others. And I think the important part still today for us is that we have the different communities, the different stakeholder groups talking to each other and learning from each other in schools like this. By the way, I'm an alumnus of this summer school myself. So I've experienced this, and I'm now proud to be able to contribute as a member of the faculty. These summer schools are important for the further development of the multi-stakeholder model, not only because of the different stakeholders, but what I think is important, coming from a more technical company and being faced with regulation and policy decisions and development, that we have this interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach, people freely talking about their experience in one field and then pulling all the dots together, or as we say here, pull the strings together when we have these different presentations, different faculty talking to each other. And it's by the way, it's also a very, very good two-way street with lots of traffic in both directions when it comes to faculty talking to and conversing with the fellows. Everybody learns from each other, and we would like to see this grow and continue. Again, thanks for the opportunity to be part of this family and for the early invite to contribute and help set this up. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Wolfgang, and thank you also, Peter. Peter mentioned it already that it's not only a school where fellows get some knowledge transfer, is much more, and basically the line between being a fellow and between being a faculty is fluent because fellows are many times experts themselves already and have a lot to tell. But over the years in the various schools across the globe, so many fellows emerged and so many faculty was engaged, and everyone was looking for the funds to run their national, regional or whatever school. And many times we were approached, how are you doing your school? Would you support us setting up a school in our region? Might it be a national or might it be a regional school? So we started meeting as schools during the IGF in a very informal manner. I think already the first meeting was already in Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken. And it took a while longer until we found that basically it would be a good idea to found a dynamic coalition, as dynamic coalitions were already an established system within the IGF, to help all these schools, first of all, to connect, but possibly also offer a platform for fellows to introduce themselves to a broader community, to offer a platform for experts, for faculty, to put down their curricular and making themselves available as a knowledge expert in the respective region, but also kind of agreeing on a certain level or certain standard of curricula that we all share, so that we basically know if a person from another region has attended a school on internet governance, that at least the certain basic knowledge was the same as in any of the other schools. So this was basically the idea why we founded the Dynamic Coalition, and it was formally founded in 2017 when we had the IGF in Geneva. On our website, which is igschools.net. You will also find a picture from our founding event. And we don't have necessarily a mission statement, but we describe on the first page already what we would like to achieve with this dynamic coalition. And so we are meeting regularly since 2017. And thanks to Afri, who volunteered, or basically we volunteered her to run a sort of a secretariat service. I mean, it's not a huge secretariat, but to keep the process running, organizes regularly meetings over Zoom. That's not new. That was already the case before the pandemic. And so we started to work on certain documents. We started to make plans. And I would say, I would consider our Dynamic Coalition as one of the more active ones. We know others went a bit to sleep, but there are also others that are even not more influential than others. So we are quite a good active group, and it was also very great that we have participants in our Dynamic Coalition from across the globe. And with this, actually, I would like to hand over to Afri to tell us a little bit more about the work that the Dynamic Coalition has done so far, what we are going to plan, and so on and so forth. Afri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be able to talk here about this. While people were talking about having been at the schools, I guess I've been on the faculty of 5 of them, and still work with 3 of them, which is really quite exciting. This one, the African, and now the virtual, the VSIG. So I'm actually quite honored to be able to teach at 3. The Dynamic Coalition, it's already been talked about how, and I think as I look at the pictures, many of you were among its founding people and founding organizations. And where we started working was, one of the things that we had discovered is that when you said you did a school, and then you were asked to sort of explain what it is that happens at one, found that basically ended up doing a lot of hand waving about what does it mean to be a school? What kind of things do you do? And then those questions started to progress to, well, how do we do one, and such? Now, there are many schools that have been found. Many of them are participating in the Dynamic Coalition. We've produced 1 document so far that can be called Stable. We've got another one that has been started and is in a rich outline mode, but still the Dynamic Coalition works very much in a bottom-up mode. I'm constantly trying to get people to contribute to the writing, and I see some, again, of those of you that are attending, you know, some of the rich writers and contributors to these: Olga, Eduardo, Raymond, Henriette, you know, and if I'm leaving anybody out, apologies. Oh, and Glenn's the one that wrote that rich outline. I couldn't see his picture before. So anyhow, it's an effort, but if there aren't people in the Dynamic Coalition that are interested in writing something, then it sits there waiting for people to do. And we have a meeting and I encourage everybody to contribute. And we've actually formed I think a fairly nice way of working is anybody, you know, can contribute to the document, can contribute edits. When I say anyone, that's you guys too. But anyone could contribute to it. And at each of the meetings that we have, sometimes more regular than others, especially when we're either have work to do because people are contributing writing or because it's getting closer to the IGF, we, you know, go through every edit and discuss it and basically come to a meeting consensus of, do we accept this edit or do we hold on to it and talk about it for a bit longer, if not. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that that's the end of it, because anybody can come along the next day and come up with an edit on that edit. The documents remain open and Drive. And as I say, on both documents, the one that's fairly stable, the one that's not done yet, needs a lot of fleshing out. Now, the second document is very much the mechanics. The first one was very much the theoretical. What does it mean to be a school? What kind of things are in a curriculum? What kind of problems do you have to tackle? And it's something that I was always able to help with the writing, perhaps, but I've never been a school administrator. I'm just one of the ones that comes, teaches something, and then disappears. So, you know, looking to all of you who are administrators and come back in and help. And yeah, that's part of my job as the coordinator to keep asking you guys to do work. You know, there are many schools that haven't really started contributing to this yet, which is one of my sorrows, although that's not any of you because you're contributing. The next document that we have sitting there is one that is, and it's in good outline form, thanks again to Glenn, is one that starts to get into some of the nitty-gritty details of the things that administrators have to do when they're building a new school. And everyone that's built a school has a different set of experiences and therefore can contribute quite a bit to that. So that's an ongoing piece of work, and it will continue to be an ongoing piece of work until it gets to the point where we could say it's reached an annealing point and we can sort of put out a version. Glenn this year started a wonderful new project, which is basically interviewing the people who have founded and administer schools and getting their stories, getting their issues, getting their views of what needs to be done, what can be done, what are the future needs. So that's been a good, I have said that once I finish listening to them all, I will try to write sort of a brief overview of some of the issues and comments and stuff that come out so that it becomes a useful document to others. And any of you that haven't contributed with Glenn about your schools really do need to talk to him. So you know, so that they can complete. And so if any of you haven't yet talked to Glenn, do make an appointment. And I hope you don't mind, Glenn, that I'm having people make appointments with you. So that's pretty much the ongoing part of the work, you know, and we constantly hope that these documents end up useful. One of the things I always hope for is that the people that read the document, that go off and start a school, come back and say, you said this, but this is what really happened. You said that, but you know, we did this instead, and that was really good. Because then this documents and these documents become richer and richer. You know, the whole VSIG group has added a whole lot of perspectives, which, you know, coincidentally was a wonderful thing during these pandemic years when it's amazing I'm saying pandemic years and not year. But anyhow, during this time of pandemic, when many schools have had to go virtual, there's you know, they've done an amazing effort in terms of, you know, trying to put together one that was just virtual. So I probably have talked enough, especially since Sandra's doing this to me. So I really enjoy, I look forward to hearing what you all have to say and be involved in the DC, write text, talk to Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you, Afri. And I did not want to be unpolite to you.
It wasn't, I can go on forever.
What I just want, I know that Henriette has to leave at 2 o'clock, and since she made the effort to come here, I would like to give Henriette first the floor to briefly explain her experience with the African School on Internet Governance, because I see no other colleague from Henriette is here. So Afri, you have the floor, please. Henriette.
Henriette, that's fine. And Avri can speak for me as well. And Sandra, thanks very much to you for convening this. And thanks very much for all the effort that you and Avri and the rest of the Myson team are putting into the SIG. And Glenn, thanks for your work as well. Just so AfriSIG started in 2013. Since then it has taken place annually. Last year it was virtual only and held as an event for alumni. This year we'll have quite a big AfriSIG running virtually again over a 2-week period. And I think the only other thing to add is that an interesting thing about AfriSIG is that it's a three-partner initiative between a university, the University of Cape Town, Research ICT Africa, an intergovernmental organization, the African Union Commission, and a civil society organization, Association for Progressive Communications. So that has been quite interesting. And I think maybe the one big difference that I see between AfriSIG and EuroSIG, which I think reflects why it is useful to have regional schools. We spend more time talking about access and about telecommunications infrastructure and business models for access. And aside from that, we try and cover a similar curriculum, but reflecting our local need. And maybe the other difference is that we try in AfriSIG to bring people in government, in regulators, in universities and businesses and civil society, but really middle senior management, because we feel there's really a gap at that level of people that are doing ICT policy work, but not that familiar with internet governance and multi-stakeholder approaches. But just, this is a wonderful community, and thanks Sandra, thanks Avri, Rainer and everyone, and I'm sorry to have to leave. Wishing you a great meeting.
Bye-bye, Henriette, and thank you for joining and giving us this insight. Let me ask you, all of you online, is there anyone else who needs to leave in the next 10 minutes? Because then I would give those person the floor first. Okay, if this is not the case, then let's go back to the original order. And I'm very glad that Anja Gengo from the IGF Secretariat is here. And I think everyone on this screen that I can see here is informed via the Dynamic Coalition mailing list that the IGF Secretariat basically proposed a formal cooperation or an informal cooperation, but a cooperation between the IGF Secretariat and the Dynamic Coalition. That would be the first of its kind. There is no other cooperation with the Dynamic Coalition so far. I believe personally that's a very good idea. We found a lot of support already on the mailing list. But Anja, let's give us some more details about what you are actually having in mind when reaching out to us. Where do you think our cooperation could add value for the SIG community? Anja, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Sandra, and I hope you can hear me. First and foremost, I wish a happy birthday. It's a very important anniversary for the European School, Summer School on Internet Governance. And it's very nice to see you all. Very unusual to see you physically gathered, I have to say, after almost 2 years of working primarily online. And it's really a great update. And I wish to thank you, first of all, for organizing this session and then for inviting the IGF Secretariat to say a few words about the proposal on maybe strengthened way of cooperation with the Dynamic Coalition on Schools on Internet Governance, and in that way supporting schools on Internet governance better, and with that supporting the capacity development on Internet governance globally. So I'll speak very briefly from the experience of the IGF Secretariat insofar collaborating with the schools on Internet governance. For over the years, we had different forms of collaboration with different schools on Internet governance. There was mostly a substantive form of collaboration in terms of that the Secretariat was invited by some schools to join as a participant or to join the trainings or the workshops, to say a few words primarily on internet governance processes, but also on some substantive matters. And we've been really honored by so many schools to be invited and to join them, somewhere virtually and somewhere in person. But then over the years, what we've noticed is that when we're joining, for example, those very important capacity development efforts that are taking the form of School on Internet Governance, we are actually joining quite differently organized schools on internet governance. Sometimes we would join, for example, schools which are just few hours long, or sometimes we would join schools which are days long, and they've been prepared for months, if not even a full year, for those particular couple of days to happen. Such, for example, is the school where we are pleased to speak today. And then, of course, the agendas, the programs are very much different. The follow-up mechanisms are sort of, I guess, different, and they have a specific methodology. And then in addition to those observations, the national, regional, sub-regional, and youth IGFs have also recognized really a value of having schools on internet governance as an effective form for building capacity development in internet governance. And they started organizing as capacity development events or processes, schools on internet governance, which are connected to their annual meetings. And thanks to that, because we cooperate a lot with the national, regional, and sub-regional and youth IGS, I'm sure you were speaking about that before, the NRIs, as we call them shortly, were approaching us as well, asking for any source of information in terms of how to effectively organize the school. And then for us, it was very challenging to reference one single source of information. We would need to basically reference a multiply sources of information, linking, for example, to the websites of various schools on internet governance. It was such an excellent news when in 2017, as Sandra said, there was the incentive to organize a dynamic coalition that would gather all the schools on internet governance. And that really showed a huge progress in the overall ecosystem, because for us, for example, we could reference that one point of information where colleagues that are interested to start organizing schools on internet governance could go and approach other coordinators, experienced facilitators of schools on internet governance and ask for more information. But then again, that also meant speaking to different coordinators of different schools on internet governance. So all that, I have to say, led us to discuss a lot internally in our team if we could provide more support in a neutral way to something that's so strong already and robust as a mechanism and present in the global internet governance ecosystem, but maybe scattered a little bit. And we approached the dynamic coalition on schools on internet governance with a proposal to provide more support to the dynamic coalition and to cooperate in a way where the IGF Secretariat could dedicate some concrete funds to provide a neutral facilitator or an expert that would work with all the coordinators, all the interested schools on internet governance gathered around your dynamic coalition, to gather all the existing good practices, best practices, but also to identify gaps on how to organize successfully a school on internet governance. What are the essential materials? What's the essence of one program? How can you adjust a school to the resources that exist within a particular community? How to organize an effective format? Whom to invite? How to maybe even fundraise? And different areas which are very important for thinking and then going into practice of organizing a school on internet governance. Of course, I understand and I'm aware, as my colleagues as well, that much of the work has started with a dynamic coalition on schools on internet governance. And our intention is, of course, not to duplicate efforts, but really to provide more resources to the dynamic coalition through this form of cooperation in a neutral way to build on what already exists and hopefully provide a syllabus that could be a useful resource for the communities around the world that would like to follow your lead and organize successfully a school on internet governance as a capacity development format for building capacity in internet governance. That was the proposal from the IGF Secretariat. I won't be taking a lot of your time, but I'm at your full disposal to respond to any of the questions. I understand that this is really an announcement and that we need to discuss in the days to come the possible timeline, methodology to be applied. But I think if you've discussed a little bit the intersessional work that the IGF has, then you probably mentioned the best practice forums. And you know that the best practice forum is basically a bottom-up, open, inclusive work that is facilitated by the IGF Secretariat as a neutral editor, basically as a pen holder, with the involvement, of course, of the interested members of the multi-stakeholder advisory group. So that's sort of a methodology could be applied in working with the dynamic coalitions, of course, recognizing all the contributions that will be received from the dynamic coalitions on internet governance, as well as the community members, and ensuring that there is a good output document produced, which could be put at disposal to anyone that is interested to organize a school on internet governance. Yes, thank you very much, Sandra. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anja. For the continuation of the session, I suggest that we give the floor to every school now. And also we see there are some questions in the chat. So Avri will be in the room, monitor the chat. And of course, I also invite fellows in the room to engage in this discussion. You might have witnesses other schools. I don't think so. Maybe one was at another school, but also maybe other courses that are kind of comparable to what we are doing. So we are also interested, of course, in your experiences. But let me ask first to the online participants who would like to go first. Olga, I could knew that, but which makes a lot of sense because Olga was the second that started a school in this global south. And then I see Satish has raised his hand next. So we have a queue already. First Olga, then Satish. So Olga, you go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will move a little bit because I am not at my home office. I'm at my mom's home because she's sick and I'm taking care of her. You know, this is multitasking time of our lives. So can you hear me from here? Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Apologies for this. Congratulations first to the European School of Internet Governance for its 15th anniversary. This is very, very, very nice time for you. And I've been there 7 years. I participated since 2007 until 2013. So I really miss Meissen. I really miss the atmosphere there. And congratulations to Wolfgang, to Sandra. And thanks to Avri that she has been contributing for such a long time in many schools, also in our school here in the South. The idea became talking with Wolfgang in 2007, and I said, this could be good to have in the South, and realized this idea of the South in the North and South in Latin America. We do have a mission statement, which is a better representation of Latin America in all the internet ecosystem. This was our first idea, but then the school has been growing. We started in 2007 with 30 fellows from all over Latin America, and we have grown up to 300 in Mexico, which was our last on-site school in Mexico in 2019. Then we had the virtual school last year in 2020, and very successful. And this year will be virtual again because it's very difficult to travel in Latin America. Several things that we started from scratch. We started with simultaneous translation, English, Spanish. Also, the 2 times that was organized in Brazil, we had simultaneous translation, English, Spanish, and Portuguese. That was very important for the Portuguese-speaking community. We started with 30 fellows. We grew up steadily up to almost 300 in Mexico. We pay for everything. Nobody pays. It's a free participation, and the fellows get hotel and meals and the training. This year, we started with a new idea. because this was requested by the fellows every year when we do a survey of satisfaction at the end. So we do have a pre-training course of 30 hours, which is self-administered and virtual, that is happening now, and the school will happen in October in a virtual mode. We didn't want a virtual typical Zoom meeting, so we have worked with a company that comes from the TV industry. So we managed to do kind of a TV studio, and you can see that in our YouTube channel, SSIG LAC. And everything is broadcasted in YouTube in 2 languages. And everything is in our YouTube channel if you want to review it later. So what else? What I'm missing from the experience. So now it's 30 hours in this virtual training, pre-training course, and the 40 hours in the full week. And well, I think these are all the details. Interesting thing is that in the virtual school, we got fellows from 34 countries. Of course, it's mainly focused in Latin America, but this virtuality has made it very, has grown to a broad participation from 34 countries. We may have more countries this year, so we are happy to have this, this virtuality broadening the boundaries of the school. In this moment, in the virtual pre-training program, we have almost 600 fellows. So virtuality has its inconveniences, but also it has its advantages. And I won't take much of your time. Thank you very much for inviting me. We are very happy to have been participating in this project for such a long time. And I think that the cooperation with IGF will be fantastic. We have been doing workshops and activities in the IGF for several years. So this will be a kind of a conclusion of a cooperation that has been happening informally. Also wanted to mention that we published a book, which is online. It's Internet Governance and Regulations in Latin America. This was for the 10th anniversary of our school, and my cat is around me, you can see it. Thank you very much, Sandra, and everyone. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Olga, and also let me congratulate you that you're doing this also for such a long time. I mean, if you do it 15 or 13 years, there's no really a difference. It's quite a long time, and doing it every year, you know that.
I forgot to tell you that, sorry, we started with the Argentina School of Internet Governance through 2017. It has been very successful as well, very focused in Argentina with the same concept. Sorry if I forgot to tell you and I interrupted you.
So you're running even 2 schools, as I understood that right. Okay, so let's give the floor to the next one. We cross the globe from Argentina to India, and Satish, you have the floor. Satish was also a fellow at the Euro SSIG a couple of years ago, and afterwards he started being engaged in the school in India. Satish, you have the floor.
Thanks, Sandra, very much, and congratulations to you and European Summer School. Yeah, I was an alumnus in 2012. So I'll speak very quickly about 2 schools. One is a national school, the other is a regional school. The national school is, of course, India. We have been working since 2016, 4 face-to-face editions in 4 cities and 1 virtual, organized by 6 ISOC chapters. The leadership team, that model provides continuity of the leadership team. It's a national regional school with 25 national fellows, 15 international fellows, and 10 local fellows. The topics are global, regional, national in the ratio approximately 50, 10, and 30. We incubated the India Youth IGF and the GFC III series of workshops. These are day 0 events for us. And our covered agenda was reactivation of the India IGF. That has been done, and we have the India IGF after a very long break in October 2021. The number of participants expected officially by the organizers, we are also part of the organizers, is 10,000. If that figure is, I'm not very confident of that figure, but if 10,000 people are going to join India IGF virtually, then it will be one of the largest internet governance events in the history of internet governance. The second school is APSIG, Asia Pacific School on Internet Governance. This one is active since 2015. It is for the whole of Asia Pacific. all have been held except the 2020 edition in Bangkok. This is largely meant for the national SIG organizers and experienced practitioners. It's not meant for novices. It is community driven with an elected executive committee from the community. And we are also organizing intersessional sessions to make up for the fact that the virtual editions are very strapped for time. So we are organizing these intersessional sessions also. Thank you. Back to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Satish. And without further ado, let's go to Eduardo. He raised his hand and I saw in the chat that also Andrea Becali would share his experiences. So raising your hand in the virtual room or putting up your 10 card in the physical room would be a good sign if you would like to take the floor. Eduardo, you're next.
Thank you, Sandra, and congratulations on your school birthday. I am from the North American School of Internet Governance, and our story is quite interesting. You know, we went to Guadalajara in the IGF in Guadalajara, and Alfredo, who is here, who helped me confound the North American School with Glenn. I remember we went to a session where Olga was the lead on that session, and it was a session about schools, and she asked all the representatives there to talk about their school, just like the same thing we're doing here. So when she said anybody from North America school, and there was this long silence. So we realized at that point that we had something was wrong in North America. So we decided to found this North American School of Internet Governance. The first one was in 2018. But Anja was there. We invited Anja to talk to us that day. I mean, it was about 2 or 3 days here in Puerto Rico. And then Glenn took over in 2019, in Montreal, because the model that we put together was that, we didn't want to do it ourselves. We wanted to pass the school to other people around the North America to build up on it, and then we will be served as supporters. Unfortunately, in 2020, we took a pandemic break, and in 2021 we are putting together a virtual school of the school, and it's going to happen in October 20 and 21, just a few days before the ICANN meeting. Moving forward in the future, we're probably thinking of keeping this group in moving the school, since we are very, we more or less know how to organize this in a way, and we probably will piggyback or work with the IGF USA to work together with them, maybe probably doing an IGF school before the IGF USA started. And we probably can synchronize things right there, but those are ideas that we have. So that's where we are, and I don't know if Glenn or Alfredo wants to add to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eduardo. And I saw already here in the chat that Andrea Becali raised hand, at least, yeah, and also Liana. Liana comes from Southeastern European region and could share some views on the youth school. Andrea, are you there?
Hello.
There you are.
Yes, I am.
You have the floor.
So thank you for giving me the opportunity to just share a few words about the Southern Eastern Europe School on Internet Governance, Digital Policies and Innovation. So this is a school that we short call it as SIDI, S-I-D-I. That's the acronym. And this is a school that started for the first time just a few weeks before the pandemic started. So we had the first edition in December 2019 in person. Of course, everything was in person back then. You wouldn't think of anything different. And we started as a cooperation with the local university in Bucharest, the School of Public Administration and Political Science, and CEDIG, the Southern Eastern European IGF. So ICANN, CEDIG, and the University of Bucharest, we designed this program for a week-long school that would start from the internet governance, but going up or down or lateral across all the layers of the internet. So including the most advanced upcoming technologies, including the regulatory issues, the infrastructure level. So we kind of designed a program to give a broad overview of all the internet layers. And the design of the school was to target mid-level professionals and graduate students. And after a very successful first edition, we also kind of took a hiatus during the pandemic. And then we decided to have the first virtual event that just happened actually in June. That was the beginning of June, the first 10 days of June. And it was also a very successful experiment. We had 85 applications from probably around 20 countries, or even more. And at the end, we selected down to 30 students from 15 countries. Majority of those from the Southeastern European region, but given that it was virtual, we also open up for other regions and time zones. So we had applications from countries in Africa and in India and Latin America that, despite the time difference, they did participate very actively. So the program was quite intense. It was 35 hours of program across 2 weeks. And it proved successful also on the full virtual environment. I think we had, we ran a survey at the end, and everybody was very satisfied and happy about all the content and the structure of the school. What I think was quite interesting and particular of this school is that being in partnership with local university, we were able to give academic credits to the participants. So those that were in grad school and postgraduate degrees, they could use the school and transfer the credits toward their degrees. But also, the mixture of academics and practitioners and policymakers in the faculty. And that mix kind of, following the multi-stakeholder tradition was very successful. So we had from, the CEO of ICANN giving a lecture to European Commission officials, the Council of Europe officials, but also experts from cybersecurity, the police forces from Romania, the cybersecurity unit of the Council of Europe. So that was extremely valuable because there was, there is this very academic infused hand-on approach to the different topics. And in the same manner, the number of supporting partners organization also grew. So from the, let's say, technical internet community, the ISOC, RIPE, ICANN, of course, we all supported the school, but then also regional organizations like the Council of Europe, the organization of the West, of the Black Sea countries joined, and a robot lab, IT clusters in Romania, they also joined the partnership. And through those partnerships, we were able to provide scholarship to all the students, which was also kind of quite a successful model. So even if, of course, costs were already cut in a way through the online participation. So in the first year, we had hosted students in a hotel from the university, but in both years we were able to to support maybe almost all the students. So I think this is a great experience that we will certainly continue looking into and expanding. If you want to know more, just I shared in the chat the link. But it's CD. You can look for CD School, and Google or your search engine will provide you with more information. So thank you again for this opportunity. And congratulations for the 15 years.
Thank you, Andrea. Now, Avri, is there anything in the chat that we should pay attention to?
Certainly a lot of good URLs, which somehow we need to get.
You cannot be heard.
Really? Oh, I have to turn it on? Did you just turn it off? Oh. Okay, now I can be heard. In terms of the chat, there's certainly a lot of good URLs. There was also an issue about, came up early and was based a lot on what Anya has spoken about in terms of the collaborations and relationships with the NRIs, the national and regional initiatives of the IGF. And their association with schools. And sometimes there's a close relationship, and sometimes there's a distant relationship. Sometimes there's no relationship. Sometimes the NRI wants to found its own school when there's an existing school. Now, each of these, the national and regional initiatives of the IGF, the NRIs, and the schools are separate, they're bottom up. I think the only problem comes out is when you try to name yourself. And as long as you can agree to have different names, I don't see why there's an issue that there'd be, but it's also one of the things that the dynamic coalitions can talk about when we get to it. But I'm one of those that sort of thinks the more schools we have, the better. And if people are doing different schools, and then Glenn put a whole lot of, good pointers on the virtual school and some statistics. So I think at this point, I've sort of covered what I saw from there, and I see Adam Peak with a hand.
Yeah, Adam, that's right. Adam Peak has the hand up, but Liliana was first. And,
that's right.
And she's basically a very good bridge to what you just said, Afri, in terms of how NRIs sometimes are connected to the schools on internet governance. CEDIC, the Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance, is running a youth school, which is not necessarily a SIG as per se, but pretty close to capacity building in internet governance. Liliana, you were involved in that, so please let us know about your experience.
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. So happy to see much familiar faces. You have also youth school alumni there, Sandra. Best regards to Marko from North Macedonia. So youth school actually is a product of CEDIC, and as I have researched a little bit, actually in these national countries which are part of the CEDIC initiative, much less have some youth school as an activity, as an initiative for any kind of form in this capacity. Basically, trainings are done in similar educational courses, but nevertheless not in a form as CEDIC has done it previously in the past couple of years. So this year we have changed the format due to COVID pandemic and due to online participation. And we have changed the format, not the content, of course, but trying to be much more responsive to the online participation needs. What was challenging in the past couple of years maybe showed up this year as well, due to the longevity of the youth school program, but also the, let's say, impossible way of too much topics to be get around in a fewer lessons or in a fewer period of time. So what we did this year is actually to mark the brand or logo of 7 series within CEDIC, because this is the 7th year that CEDIC is running. We have organized 7 meetings, 7 modules that are very important or very hot topics, let's say, in the IG as IG issues. What is remarkable this year also, we have more participants from Turkey than any last year. And national participants from CEDIC countries are fewer, let's say, regardless Turkey as a country. And regarding the content, I'm very much appreciating the participation as experts. Our next expert guest is Andrea Becali. And we are using actually ICANN and ISO courses and different digital learning tools. As Glenn McKnight and Alfredo, I have to say, because I was a participant of their virtual school as well, and I saw that these materials actually could help us in building the capacity of youth school. Students this year are very, this was very interesting for me to say, they have very hybrid background. For example, they have IT lawyer background, or perhaps some sociology, anthropology, and IT expertise. Then we have, for example, biology and cybersecurity, which was very interesting to see how the disciplines are developed in a very hybrid, let's say, way, and how IG issues can be managed, or how IG issues can be explained or taught in these hybrid disciplines. We are in the middle of this youth school implementation program, so we are happy to see if some of you maybe explain their willingness to be our expert in the next following program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liliana. Then next is Adam Peak, and I see Abdalyali, who you possibly spelled it wrong, has also raised his hand. Adam, go ahead.
Hi everybody. What a nice thing to see. That meeting room is very familiar from a holiday I spent at Meissen a couple of years ago. And very sorry not to be able to be with you this time. We're stuck in a series of quarantines after visiting the United Kingdom, and you come back to the Netherlands and you have to spend time in quarantine. Anyway, I also work for ICANN like Andrea, and just wanted to say how important the schools are, to congratulate you on the anniversary, but all of the schools, they're important to ICANN, and I think to all of the technical internet governance organizations that, well, you can see Marco and there's Carsten and Peter. So, you know, the regional internet registries support schools around the globe. The CCTLDs are very much involved, and of course ICANN is very much involved. And we have been since the beginning, really, and also the connections go extremely deeply. I mean, Sandra, you, Wolfgang, Avri, Chris, who's there, Peter, have all been very important contributors in the ICANN community. One of the things that is important to us is to try and bring new people into the ICANN work, and I'm sure also into the RIRs and CCTLDs, that we need people to come in with excellent policy understanding so that good policy can be made for the operation of the internet. And that's why the schools are so important, and that's why we support them and support them in ways that Andrea described. There's an excellent interview that Glenn did with our colleague Fahd Bahtani, who's organized the MIACSIG, and he explained why it's important to ICANN and the other organizations and how it was set up. So you will see ICANN as a supporter of SIGs, an organizer on program committees, or just as speakers. It's something that we think is incredibly important. So again, thank you very much for all the work you're doing, and look forward to collaborating with you more, and very much hope to be in Meissen next year. Have a great time. Don't drink all the wine. I want some next year. Have a great time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam, and I hope quarantine is soon finished for you so that you can be back to normal. Then Abdel Yair, I practiced it a while in a minute. You are next, and then I see Glenn has raised his hand.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you, Sandra, for this opportunity, and happy birthday to you and to our community. So my name is Abdel Jalil Bashar. I am the founder of Chadian Zik. Yes, and it was our first time to organize this School of Internal Governance in Chad. It was for 14 to 15 December 2020. So it was very successful school. It is our first time to gather our the community, to teach them, to share our idea about ecosystem of internet. So we have trained, or we have a fellow 50 fellows, participants coming from different background, technical background, governmental, student, and our ecosystem. And also we receive, as you know, it was during the COVID-19, but it was face-to-face. So we invite also 3 speakers. As you know, Tijani Benjama, he was from Tunisia. So we invite him, and we invite also Sebastien Bachelot from Iralo. He was in Chad also, and Estelle from Cameroon ISOC. So we invite 3 speakers coming from outside and to train us for 2 days. And also what we have did, also we have speakers from our local community. So we mix them, a speaker from outside and a speaker from our local community. So people, it was first time people understand what does mean internet, what does mean the ecosystem internet, technical background, political background, economical background. So after that, our perspective is that 2 days is very, not much. So this year we are planify to extend for 4 days, because it's not easy school to do for 2 days. It's very hard for the students to have to capitalize all this information. And also our school is a product of our organization called House of Africa. It's not a profit organization based here in Chad. And this first edition we did in collaboration with National Governmental ICT Agency. So we say that we have the project. We don't have a fund. How we can do? You have this fund of development of ICT. We know the laws, so why not to do together? So after that, they accept, we agree, and they pay everything for that, for the students, for the hotels, everything they pay for that. And now we sign officially agreement for 3 years to do together as experimental pilot of this project. And as you know, for our first edition, it was only, we select the people by sending letters to the institution to choose. But after our first experience, that this year, we need to open the call to give the opportunity to the community to send the application. After that, we have a committee to select the people. So I think that it's very important collaboration between South and North, and internet, we need everyone. So we need your support to collaborate together, and we receive also the support from ICANN by sending Yaovi online to have intervention, and from Africa also. So our school is that we need everybody to inside the school to train the people. So I need to stop there, and thank you so much, and happy to be there.
Thank you very much, Abdel Jalil. And since your school is a fairly new one in the landscape, we are really interested in getting some of your experiences, how it was for you to set, as Avri said, your contribution to those documents that we are working. It would be really great if you could contribute to that. Glenn, I see you have raised your hand as well. First of all, let me also thank Glenn, and at the same time apologize that we haven't delivered yet, because Glenn is doing video recordings from all the schools that are interested in doing a video recording. They are on our website, pointing you to a YouTube channel. And Glenn has covered already quite a lot of different initiatives, and I listened to all of them. And that was actually really a good experience for me too, and a good learning to understand the different challenges and the different needs that every school has. So Glenn, thank you very much, and apologies that we didn't deliver so far, but organizing the school kept us so busy that we didn't really find the time to meet with you for this interview. But now you have the floor.
Great. Again, I want to repeat the congratulations to what you and Wolfgang have done. Without the dedication that you two and others have done, I don't think any of us would be sitting here talking today, because you guys put the, as they say in American English, a stake in the ground. You decided to make this big effort, and we all know it's a big effort. We believe that you give inspiration. It's a unique model, like every one of us have a unique model, and I think it's a inspiration for all of us. Let me just say a couple of things. I've already posted the article that we did with Circle ID, which gives a bit of a summary with what we're doing. But really, it's all about partnerships. And as Adam pointed out, what ICANN is doing with all our schools, what ISOC is doing with all our schools, the RIRs, actual physical schools and universities that one partners with, the phenomenal speakers that step up and are volunteer their time remotely or in person, and the hundreds and hundreds of hours of people like all of you who've volunteered and putting their sweat and tears and effort to make it a success. So I think every one of us have done our own way of doing it. There isn't a right way or a wrong way, but I think the point is you're making a difference in your own country. I'm speaking about VSIG because VSIG came out of a discussion saying, what are we going to do? We had 2 NASIG cancellations, or one for Washington, and now we're coming into Seattle. We're going to do it virtually, but I think we needed to decide how to take this further. And I think what Olga has done is a phenomenal job in how she adapted, her and Adrian adapting their school as a virtual broadcasting, very high quality program. But, you know, in terms of what we've done, as I stated, there's 538 registered users coming up with Group E starting in September, but we also are launching our first Spanish version of the course. And each of these groups have speakers, and I've given you the link to the speakers for Group E. We also have Group F speakers lined up, but there's a couple of developments that we were hoping that would be progressing a little faster is our French translation. And given our number of African countries, it's again and again, people from different countries in Africa says, when are you going to produce a French version? Well, we did propose to Afrnic, and that was in the queue, but as we know, Afrnic's assets are frozen, so we can't pay our translator. So that's going very, very slowly. But it may be by the new year we'll have our French version, but we'll see what happens with that organization. We have an agreement with UNESCO, IFAP for Russian. APNEC is we're working with for Hindi, Chinese, and Bangla. Those are all other language versions, but again, working closely with organizations to make it happen. It's going to take a while. The other groups that are that would like to do some extra work is the disabled community, but we haven't broached that yet, but it's a long-term goal. We have a very model, and we say it again, we say it in our video with the interview with the dean of our school, Professor Alfredo Calderon, and our feedback with our excellent advisory council is that we have a mission, we have a vision. We're not here to replace a face-to-face school. We're here to supplement, we're here to support. So that's us in a nutshell. So please visit our website. Many of you guys who run school, many of your students join our program, and the report has been quite good. So that's it.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. And I see on our virtual side there are now the hands raised, but we have one intervention from the room. Alisa, please, you know how it works. Come to the mic and introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Elisa Heaver. I work at the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs, and I'm not sure how large we were in the screen, but I was like talking to one of my fellows in the room, and we were looking at the website here, igschools.net. I tried looking it up on my phone, and we had to go to page 10 and we still didn't find it. So when we Google it, we couldn't find it. If this is our main business card to find this website, then I'd say, let's get it to page 1 on Google. Because I have really enjoyed this summer school. I've learned so much, so it's been so valuable to be here, and I would hope that everybody could join one of these summer schools. So I think the importance, unfortunately, we can't work completely around Google, so I think we should look at how to get this website on page 1 and maybe make it slightly more 2021-ish. Thanks.
Thanks for the feedback, Alicia. Yeah, but I need to be in the camera. So I turn that off. I have the headset. Okay, now everything should be fine. So yes, indeed. But I mean, possibly as all dynamic coalitions and all schools, everyone is struggling with finding funds, and surprisingly, albeit everyone is saving travel costs in their budgets, our funds also decreased, and doing a nice website, making it more stylish, would need a little bit more resources. We are constantly looking for those. But thanks for the hint. Is there anything else in the room, anyone else in the room or anyone else online?
I want to respond.
Yes, please.
Here you go. It's on the first place, DuckDuckGo. So Google, DuckDuckGo, whose world do we live in? But I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment that it has much better placement on DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, I think you don't have the micro on at the moment, so I repeat for the online participants.
Okay, sorry, I keep talking with the mic off. I was just basically responding to the Google comment, is that I found it on the first page of DuckDuckGo. And therefore, I'm really quite happy. But no, I take the point. And I'm not much of a web page designer, so I don't know what makes it more 2021 or 2022 or 2024. But yeah. Should I say what you were going to ask me to say? Okay. Among the things, in terms of taking the idea that Anya put out about, working with the IGF on that project, that's going to be the main topic. We're going to have a meeting of the Dynamic Coalition. It'll be announced shortly on September 21st. And I closed my phone, which had the time in it, but there'll be an announcement. And if you can find the website, it'll also tell you how to sign up for the mailing list. No. The relationship between DCs and IGF is a really interesting conversation to have. And I'm not going to try and do it now, but I'd love to talk about it sometime. The relationship between the two is one of my favorite topics. Why does he chuckle when I say it's one of my favorite topics? It's on the 21st at 14 UTC. But yeah, so the mailing, joining the mailing list, all the information is there once you go to DuckDuckGo and find the website. Where's the
okay, so you heard that everyone is invited to join our mailing list and to join the Dynamic Coalition. For the time being, is there anything else who would like to speak who hasn't yet? Because we are close to the hour, to be on top of the hour, and we don't want to extend that session tremendously if nothing has to be said anymore. So I'm asking online participants, is there anything you would like to add? A final word? Andrea, is that an old or a new hand?
Hi, it's a new hand, but I couldn't
Ah,
find my mouse.
then go ahead.
No, just since you mentioned Google and you mentioned the fact that raising funds is always it's also difficult. Just wanted to share that as in other experience that I had with national IGFs, raising funds from these big names, internet players, it's very difficult. And I thought that with a school would be easier than with national IGF, for instance. National IGF, they tend to fear that they get too much criticized, or they don't like to be in the center of attention. With the school, I thought will be a more neutral. And in my experience, we have, I would say, a limited success. We had some of them participating, but when it ended up, asking them to offer scholarships, it was even leveraging our very good contacts, it didn't work out. So just wanted to share that, and I would be curious to hear if you had the same, and just to share. And the other question that I had is, if you have in the Dynamic Coalition or Krakow, how many of those schools are linked, attached, supported by an academic institution, a university, or yes, a university mainly? If you have these data, so this information, because I would be curious, since we are working with the university and we see which are the potentialities, but also the burdens on that, and there's some more bureaucracy to do. There is more work to do on vetting programs, but I think it's a worth thing to go through. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. And I take that to the next meeting, this question, how these schools are linked to universities. That's indeed an ongoing discussion too. Olga, you have something to add.
Thank you, Sandra, and sorry for taking again the floor. Building up on Andrea's comment, we are working with the university. So now that we have this pre-training of 30 hours and the school is 14 hours, we are working with the university to add another module of 30 hours and have a university certification. So that may come the next year. And I would like to make a comment that I saw in the chat about the relationship about national and regional IGFs and the schools. This is my personal opinion. I think there are different spaces. This is training. This is learning from experts, exchanging experiences from students who are also experts and other different people that do participate. The IGF, it's more about discussing policies. It's more linked to the reality with the national policy or regional reality policies. So I think that this differentiation in between one and the other is good. So the training is good for participating in the IGF, and both participating in the IGF can put you in the need that you may want to know more and go to a school, and both. So that's my personal opinion. Keeping this separation, I think it's healthy for different spaces in this internet ecosystem. And thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thanks a lot, Olga. And now I see the discussion is really emerging towards the end of the session. Glenn is next, and then Raymond.
Yeah, thank you.
And please be brief, because we have only 7 minutes left.
I'll be very brief. If you go back and look at the 12 videos that I recorded, the issues that Andrea brought up about accreditation, third-party endorsement or a piece of paper from an institution, and it varies all over the map. The other thing is the use of the term school, and Lilian brought this up, and it's North Macedonia. It's an issue. You can't use the term school, and I don't know if other schools, other efforts have run into the same problem. The idea of issuing a certificate of completion, what does that mean? What about classwork? The Nigerian school has a major assignment that they give to students. So, what we see is everybody has a different way of approaching this, and And I think it's important to watch the videos. And Sandra, I need your video. That's it.
Raymond, you are next, or do you want to reply?
No, let Raymond go.
Raymond, you go next.
Okay, thank you. This is Raymond from Accra, Ghana. I'm representing the Ghana School on Internet Governance, which is organized by the E-Governance and Internet Governance Foundation for Africa. We started, we had our first school in 2020 and our second one just this year. Part of the activities that we do is to get the fellows to study for 1 month online intensive, which gives them prior knowledge to issues regarding internet governance before they are qualified to come for the face-to-face section. And we've had quite enormous support from some of the people who are in this DC. Paramount among them is Glenn, and we are grateful for his support. Because of the time limit, I'll just say thank you for the opportunity and happy anniversary to the DCSEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond. Avri, you want to reply?
Am I on? Yes. I just wanted to say that those issues that Glenn brought up and that others brought up are all good content for, for dynamic coalition discussions. And if there are indeed issues about what you call it, whether there's certificate, how to connect to a university, all great content for contributing to the see, I put on my DC coordinator hat, my DC SIG coordinator hat, and everything that people have mentioned as an issue, a good thing, a bad thing, yeah, it belongs in the stuff we're writing. Thanks.
Thanks. And I realized I made a mistake. We are still having, actually, according to our schedule, half an hour. So we could continue the discussion, but I have the feeling that everything has been said already. And in case we would have had more schools online, then of course we would have needed the time, but this is not the case. But let me ask for a last time, any more comments, something to say from the online participants? Then raise your hand now, or from our fellows in the room. No, this is not the case. So then let me finish this session with telling you that I'm personally very thankful that, albeit the pandemic, we were so lucky to have been two years, last year and this year, in the moment in time with our school where it was hardly, but it was possible to have a physical meeting. We have pretty high quality standards here in terms of keeping distance, hygiene, and all these kind of things. We have this year the concept of everyone's getting tested every day. They do self-tests in the morning. And so we are basically looking for ways that could be of benefit for all the other schools as well to overcome the pandemic. Who knows if not next year, we will still be facing issues with this. So consider this year kind of an experiment, not that these are all our guinea pigs. No, that's not the case, but at least we tried, and we wouldn't have done it if there would have been an uncalculable risk that we would not have taken. So I think we are pretty safe this year as we were last year. And with this, I would like to thank everyone in the room and everyone in the outer space for joining us. And I really hope we can see you soon in person at some point in an IGF. That would be the next occasion.
Bye. Thank you for inviting me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.